All right. The news says, why Nigeria cancelled the $717.7 million World Bank power loan. 5 critical reasons and what it means for Nigeria. Follow me as, as I unravel the reasons and the implication for Nigeria. Let's read together on the screen. The decision by the federal government to cancel the undisbursed $717.7 million World Bank power sector loan has raised serious concerns about the future of Nigeria's electricity reforms and the broader economy. Although officials describe the move as part of a joint decision, let's underline that. Although officials describe the move as part of a joint decision, the deeper issue reveals major structural and financial problems facing the country's power sector. Structural and financial problems facing what? The country's power sector. Take note of this. Let's continue. Before we continue, please, you can join Akai News VIP WhatsApp group. Just visit akainews.org, this website, akainews.org. Then you can click on to join our WhatsApp group. Thank you. Here are the 5 most critical reasons behind the cancellation and the likely implication for ordinary Nigerians. Number 1, Nigeria failed to meet key reform conditions. Nigerian fails to meet key reform conditions. One of the biggest reasons for the cancellation was Nigeria's inability to achieve the reform targets tied to the loan. Hey, let's underline that. One of the biggest reasons for the cancellation was Nigeria's inability to achieve the reform target tied to the loan. That means there is a condition tied to that loan. Let's continue. The World Bank had attached 3 conditions to the financing, including reducing tariff shortfalls, improving electricity distribution performance. So look at it. One of the conditions is reduction of tariff. Okay, that is one of the strict conditions the World Bank attached to the loan is reduction of tariff shortfalls, improving electricity distribution performance. Is that not okay? Okay, strengthening governance in the sector and creating what? Creating sustainable financial framework. Very important. Creating a sustainable financing framework. Let's continue. But before we continue, check your screen. If you have or should you have any word who is preparing for OAU Post-UTME, OAU Pre-Degree or OAU JUPEP, Akai Tutors Ile-Ife is the place. You can call the number displayed on your screen. This number. That's the management of Akai Tutors. 08038644328. Okay, thank you. However, many of these reforms either stalled or failed completely within the expected timeline. The bank noted that Nigeria could not establish, take note of that, the World Bank noted that Nigeria could not establish a credible and fiscally sustainable financing plan for the sector. That is very, very important there. That is the limitation on the part of government. This made continued disbursement difficult because the World Bank only releases such funds. Take note of this. It becomes cumbersome or difficult because the World Bank only releases such funds when agreed milestones are achieved. Hey, Take note of that. And what is the implication for Nigerians? This means the power sector may continue struggling with inefficiency, poor electricity supply, and weak infrastructure upgrades. Nigeria could keep experiencing unstable power supply despite repeated promises of reform. Let's check this very well. This means power sector may continue struggling with inefficiency, one, poor electricity supply, two, and weak infrastructure upgrades. Nigeria could keep experiencing unstable power supply despite repeated promises of reform. My people, this one pass me. Let's continue. Two, rising electricity cost crippled the program. Rising electricity cost crippled the program. Let's continue. The liberalization of the foreign exchange market in 2023 led to a sharp depreciation of the naira, since over 70% of Nigeria's electricity generation depends on natural gas priced in US dollars. Production costs skyrocketed. At the same time, electricity tariff remained largely frozen for most consumers except Band A customers. This created a dangerous mismatch between operational cost and revenue generated by power companies. The result was a massive rise in tariff shortfalls from about 140 billion naira in 2022 to nearly 1.9 trillion annually in 2024 and 2025. What is the broader implication for Nigerians? The government may eventually increase electricity tariff. Begiski. That's another thing. The government may eventually increase electricity tariff further to reduce the financial burden. Now transferring the burden on Nigerians. Nigerians should prepare for possible higher electricity bills, especially as authorities search for ways to close the growing funding gap. Look at it. Let's continue. Three, the power sector remains structurally weak. The power sector remains structurally weak. Let's continue. Despite years of privatization and multiple intervention programs, Nigeria's electricity sector continues to suffer from deep-rooted problems. The World Bank has specifically highlighted the following. Let's check those items they have enumerated. One, weak distribution network. Two, high technical and commercial losses. Three, poor revenue collection. Four, transmission bottlenecks. Five, underutilized generation capacity. Hey, these are problems. And lastly, weak institutional accountability. This systemic problem made the loan program increasingly ineffective. So what is the broader implication for Nigerians? The power outages, blackouts, damaged transformers, and unreliable electricity may continue for years unless deeper reforms are implemented. Take note of that. Power outages, blackouts, okuku, damaged transformers, and unreliable electricity may continue for years unless deeper reforms are implemented. So do you think this government will still make any reform that will favor this power sector after rejecting this loan? Okay, depending heavily, businesses will also continue depending heavily on generators, increasing production cost and inflation. With this key increasing again. Imagine what the kind of inflation in the country now. Another layer. So number 4, bureaucratic delays and poor implementation slowed disbursement. Another major reason was the slow pace of implementation and approval processes. The report revealed that only about 9% of the additional financing package was disbursed because of delays linked to verification processes, performance improvement plans, and expenditure alignment. Nigeria's Accountant General Dr. Shamsuddin Ogujimi also criticized prolonged delays in loan approvals and disbursement, warning that Nigerians could reject future facilities if such delays persist. What is the broader implication for Nigerians, my fellow frustrated Nigerians? Critical power projects that depended on the funding may now face delays or outright abandonment. This could slow infrastructure development and worsen unemployment in sectors linked to energy and construction. Take note of that. This could slow infrastructure development and worsen unemployment. Bigiski. That is a problem. And worsen unemployment in sector linked to what? To energy and construction. Unemployment. Underline that word, unemployment. Number 5, the loan design no longer matched Nigeria's economic reality. That is the truth. The World Bank admitted that the program's original design became misaligned with Nigeria's changing economic realities. When the program began, economic conditions were different, but rising inflation. In other words, initially when the program kickstart, economic conditions were relatively different from now, but rising inflation, currency depreciation, subsidy pressures, and worsening fiscal constraint altered, that is, changed the entire operating environment. Take note of this. Let's continue. The government likely concluded that continuing with the program under those conditions would only deepen financial pressure without guaranteeing meaningful success. Well, that is true. So what is the broader implication for Nigerians? Nigerians may become more cautious. Yes, Nigerians may become more cautious about future foreign loans, especially those tied to strict economic reforms. While this could reduce future debt accumulations, it may also limit access to critical development funding needed for infrastructural growth. Let's continue. What is the bigger national concerns Nigerians should watch closely for now? Beyond electricity supply, the cancellation sends wider signals about Nigeria's economy. 1, investor confidence could be affected. Number 2, pressure on government finances will increase. So you can read details on this on akainews.org. 3, more tariff adjustment may come. 4, economic growth could slow. And what is the conclusions here from this write-up? The cancellation of the $717.7 million World Bank Power Intervention Loan is more than just a financial decision. Now, what is it? It exposes the deep structural weaknesses, policies, inconsistency, and economic pressure affecting Nigeria's electricity sector. You can read other details on akainews.org. akainews.org.